Hey everyone, this is Ryan B with Practical Forex Trading. This is your weekly analysis for Euro versus the dollar. It's May 31st, 2020. If you want to stay up to date with all of our commodity, currency pair videos, and otherwise, make sure you click that red subscribe button. Okay, so we're looking at the daily chart for Euro. Long-term bearish sentiment, slowly declining lower highs and lower lows. If we look over the past couple of years. So now my near-term sentiment is mixed this week. I think we're going to see some sideways action this week. We do see some short-term bullish action trying to really pierce through the $1.12 line. But in the big picture, we look back and we can see this is a pretty famous, historically famous support and resistance zone. So let's talk about that a little bit. This goes all the way back to last summer. We can see this price has been pretty popular. We're at the $1.11, right, mark, headed towards $1.12. So we can see all these days, candle of actions provide support back in May of 2019. Almost was like a pivot here for the month. Then price fell below, shot back up, couldn't stay above, right? So we see this pattern happening. Now we do have some extreme swings, which of course Forex is famous for. But what we still see here is lower low, and even though we got a higher high here just because of due to freak market activity, then we did stamp another lower low. Let's go ahead and map out some horizontal lines here. We see in the big picture, $1.14 mark. That defines this top of that near-term range. If we zoom out, we can see that price point was tested over and over again. So now we have the bottom of this range, which is held pretty true, is about the $1.08 mark. So if I put my horizontal support and resistance here at $1.08, what I'm doing is I'm identifying where all the bodies of the candles close. And it's a little bit sloppy here. It's kind of like scribbling, but you can see that every time price tests this $1.08 mark, it shot back up. And so we now see a zero just stuck in a classic range. Last week I thought really the range would cap here about the $1.10 mark, but in fact price shot right through and went up and tested the upper heights of this range. So just from an eyeball perspective, here's what I'm looking at for support and resistance. Good chance this week we're going to have the mixed sentiment, right? So price will keep testing the ceiling and then falling back down to support. We do have the fast-moving average coming up behind. Let's go ahead and put our pivot points on and see how they line up with these lines. So R1, $1.12.10. Okay. So right up in this range here is our R1. Map that in orange. So right there is our first resistance. Pivot point for the week, 110.40. So just below here. So it means we're moving at a pretty good accelerated velocity above in front of the weekly pivot point and the moving average. Good chance we'll see prices retract here, if even for just a moment. So probably the first couple of days of the market, I'm expecting to see a little bit of retraction there. Of price towards our pivot point. Okay, R2. 113.15 is R2. So put that there. So this is interesting. Now this really identifies it looks like our pivots are moving in the middle channel, if you will, of the overall big picture. We see R1 right here, right along our estimate line. We see the pivot point here, about halfway between the other eyeballs, our eyeballs support and resistance zone that we identified. S1, 109.36. This one's pretty close, so we just tuck this one down a little bit here. 109.36. That's our weekly support. Okay. So, and that makes a lot of sense to just from looking at this chart. Prices wavering somewhere between S1, possibly the pivot, possibly going up to R1, because we see this zone, even though every time we see a lot of selling, it's having a really hard time getting forced out of this price action zone. And if we just think, if we entertain the thought that this could go on, keep testing this resistance, it could go on all summer before we see our big drop again. And that's when we'll see these high velocity peaks. What about our S2? What's our support 2 at? 107.66. Okay, here we go. This one lines up with this bottom line here, 107.66. We bring it down about 30 pips, and there we go. S2. So either way, we're going to need to see some big kind of forces move the market in order for us to push towards our support and resistance zones. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you have a great week. I hope you make lots of pips.